So, hello everybody and welcome to this week's Lovely People webinar. So my lovely person in the hot seat this week is Liliana Belini, who I was fortunate enough to meet in person at Viva last year. We had a great time. Viva was amazing. So good old plug there for Viva if anyone I'll have the money later, Sheila and Sue. No, Viva is a brilliant event. It's lovely. So if you can get there, great. And we had an amazing few days and I got to meet you. But I don't know loads about you. So it would be really, really lovely if you would tell us a little bit about, anything that occurs to you around the principles and understanding that we're sharing. Go for it.
Cool. So, so a little bit about me is I'm Italian and I came to London in 1988. So I've been in London for 30 years. I came to learn English and I'm still learning English.
So are we.
And then I have a background in fine arts and fashion design, which I did in Italy. But when I came, some point soon, I became very interested in complementary medicine. So I went on to train as a homeopath. So for 15 years, I practiced. I was a clinic and pharmacy homeopath at Nelson's Homeopathic Pharmacy. So I did that, and parallel to that, I continued searching for ways of helping my clients have a more peace of mind and well-being. But also I think I was on a mission to reduce the chances of my loved ones, especially my children, suffering mental health problems. I had this, I think I lived in fear for many years that something was going to go wrong with them. I'm married to Mikey, my husband Mikey, I've been with him for 30 years, and we have 3 grown-up sons. And also we have a daughter. She's a big woman now, with expecting a 4th child. So I'm a grandmother, although I didn't give birth to my daughter, is Mikey's daughter, but she lived with us many years. And so I've had a very full family life. We also had I had a stepson, and 17 years ago he died. He passed away. After he became very unwell mentally, and then he went into drugs, and then he took his own life. So I say this not because I want to go into that story, but because I think that was a real turning point for me, because already I was quite a worried mother. And then that kind of pushed me to the edge of my fear, and then made me really want to become active in training and learning. I just didn't want to delegate it to someone else. I wanted to be the one in control, and I was. my God! That was exhausting for many years. Although I was kind of looking in a kind of a nice direction, but it was all about prevention, containing the possible damage and preventing it. Like I was really much, even I didn't realize, but looking back, it was totally exhausting. Yeah. To the point that even with all the knowledge I had, in complementary medicine and all the experience I had a breakdown. I had a breakdown when my son came home from university, and he was experiencing depression. And I went into that, and I literally, with my thinking, I pushed myself in a corner, in a dark room without, any light coming in. And I thought, this is it. And I had a breakdown because I couldn't cope. I was so scared. So I think my life was really governed by fear of my loved one suffering and losing it. and then I lost it because of it, temporarily. So, and that was before the three principles, as well as this big fear, really kind of quite dense and it quite encompassing. Prior to that, I had years of unhappiness in my marriage because I had another fear. It was the fear of not being enough, of not being, of being found out, of not being enough. Oh God, if he only sees who I really am, this is it. He's going to leave me. So for years, I hid what I thought was my true self. I hid it in any possible way. Control. It was all about control. And then I blamed him, of course, for many years. I blamed him for for my misery.
We're brilliant, aren't we?
If only you would give me more reassurance, if only you would be home more, if only you had a different past, if only, blame. It was all about him making me feel a certain way. So, and I wasn't aware, I didn't have any understanding of how it really works. I was kind of completely lost in how I thought it worked. So exhausting years of my life, I would say, with that. And then my mission of saving my children from what? Imagine, I got completely drained. And I think the breakdown was absolutely petrifying, and I was hiding it. Again, I thought nobody should see this. You're doing a conference about mental health, and it made me reflect on how I was ashamed. I was so ashamed of what's happening with me, because I should know better. And eventually I kind of crawled out of this black hole. Naturally, my resilience kind of started to show up, and I came out of it, and the three principle understanding was waiting for me as I was coming out of that tunnel of petrifying. Really, it was so scary when I was in there. But there was there was a gift there, such a special, beautiful gift waiting for me, so that I could make sense of everything that had happened so far and why it had happened. So it really shone a light on every area of my life. And I can't tell you the relief that has come from that. Finally I understanding why I got to experience all of that and where it really, really came from. So I do definitely have a before and after story, because my after story, although I'm 100% human, and I was just telling my son now, I'm going to have this webinar, and I'm going to tell them how I'm doing ever so well in every area of my life, except that I miserably fail when it comes to your diet and your lifestyle. miserably fail. And he was laughing because he says, Mom, you're supposed to know these things, and you give me such a hard time. So of course I have blind spots, but I experience presence and freedom on a regular basis now. I experience the lightness that comes from knowing that beneath the noise and the pain, I'm 100% whole, and that kind of never fails to set me back. Whenever I know that there is in the background there is a knowing that that's what really is true about me. Everything else is, completely made up. So, and my marriage is totally different. Honest to God, it's like, we've been together 30 years, so we've seen everything under the sun, and now it's like there is such lightness and such mental emotional freedom. He's around the world all the time, and I have joy about what he does, and I have pride, and I always smile when I think about him living his dreams and doing what he loves. And I'm 100% where I want to be, whether I'm in prison working with inmates or in schools, or whether I'm in the community, or I'm 100% where I want to be. And then I can celebrate, him without anything on it, So, so the most tangible things I would say before and after are, relationships, especially my husband, and the fact that I don't live in fear anymore. I don't live in fear anymore, and I visit it for a while, maybe a day or so, but I naturally, without trying, I kind of just find myself out of it and still am present again, and joyful again, and playful again. And so that's the before and after, so that you have a sense,
Yeah.
And then the work I do, really, which is just came up, it was a side effect of experiencing it for myself, was then the desire to share it. And so I think there are two areas of my life where where my sharing is concerned, of the three principles. One is my personal. So I do seminars. I've been doing home seminars. I call Lily Home Seminars. And I do them, I've done them for 3 years on a monthly basis. Then I do them open to all, and also for young people. Okay. So young people I don't charge. I feed them and I don't charge them. Yeah, so they come because they eat and they stay. and then I do open to all, and that is a lovely space, very informal, very open, where it's a very fertile ground for insight to occur for everyone. So we teach each other, and we learn from each other, and we listen, and then we eat good food. So, and that is a 1-day seminar per month. And then I have my own personal clients. So that's kind of my little livelihood, small livelihood comes from that. And then I do all the community work, which I'm really, really passionate about. And so I've been doing many different things. I've worked for 3 years now. I'm part of the Beyond Recovery team. Oh, wow. So I think you had Jacqueline Hollers on your, so I'm in the core team of Beyond Recovery. So we deliver programs in prison to inmates, and I've learned so much that this is possibly I'm not sure because I love it all, but the miracles that we see in prisons are like words always fail me, and the awakenings we see are just beyond words, and so beautiful. I mean, I'm constantly have the opportunity, the chance to wake up myself to the same mind-blowing truth that is in everyone, in everything, and to see it. The prison work really makes me realize what's possible, because I think we can come up with exceptions, even if without this understanding, you think, but that's too late, and no, it's never too late. I mean, really never. And change and transformation doesn't come after constant screwing up or pain or years. We think it does. For a long time I thought, but I suffered and now I'm wiser. That's bullshit. Sorry, that's crap, because it's like we don't have to suffer. That's the thing, or to keep making the same mistakes so that we eventually learn. You see, it can be in an instant when we suddenly have a realization, or we see beyond the stories we've made up. Regardless of what story, they're just stories. They can be very dark or have consequences, like, you know, you find yourself in prison, or they can be not so dark, but at the same time, they're still the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, we can still be asleep and wrapped up in that story. So we don't have to be in prison, but we can, might as well be in a prison if, you know, if we just believe that what we made up is true.
Yeah.
So, but to see, I have many stories, but I know Jacqueline loves to tell her stories about prison, and she does it so well. But if anyone listening wants to ask me about prison, I'd be happy to you know, go further than that. But it's just, it really is. So there's so much love. The last group I led was in June, or June, and that was the biggest group we've ever had. It was I think it was 45 or 48 guys in the chapel, and we didn't have officers or anything. It's just us managing this group of guys, and there was like at least 15 gang members, and I led it. But to be honest, my job was easy because I had two amazing peer mentors who did all the heavy lifting for me. I was just there looking nice. Well, nice enough. And then, but at the end of the 2 days, it was unbelievable. Well, the depth and the intensity of the love that we were all felt, and the connection we felt. It was just, you know, then of course you think this can change the world.
Yeah.
It can. Everything is possible. So there is that, and there is other things I've done in community with the social enterprise. I've co-founded last year, and it's called Inside Living. And we've worked with the young mothers in the community. We set up meetups for the ex-offenders, people I've worked with in prison. Then they can come and have the conversation there. I worked in 3 different schools, 2 inner city schools, and delivering the I Heart curriculum, which was really special. And then I'm going to do 10 weeks now of a pilot with the homeless, which is something that a lovely lady called Caroline Powell has organized. And it's going to take place in Watford and Slough. So I'm going to deliver as well on that part of that team. So wow. I make myself available. And I want to say something, because people might want to do this and they say, oh, but I don't have any experience. I don't have any background. I don't. I did fine arts and fashion. But
so you dress nicely when you work with people.
Well, I didn't do criminology. I'm not a social worker, and yet what I teach in prison is the same that I teach in a school. It's the same I teach on my, I share on my seminars, because at that level we're all the same. So there aren't different categories, different ways. So yeah, maybe you want to make it a bit more relatable with your metaphors and your analogies, fine. But otherwise, it's all the same. And we're all human beings that so we're so equal and connected. So I thought I'd say that because, everybody who sees a little bit about this can share it and make a massive difference. Anybody. We don't have to be special. I don't think anyone is special, and we all are.
This is it. We've all got the exact same amount of special. I mean,
yes.
We're working here in North Devon, and we just kind of came up with this thing. We just thought, hey, wouldn't it be wonderful to say, let's make North Devon the most mentally healthy place to live and work. And we have no qualifications, but we're just very passionate, and we've all seen something, like you said, and we share from our hearts what we have seen. And like you, basically, we're having, hang on, would you like to ask a question? I will unmute you. Hello.
Hi, Liliana. I'm so impressed with your story, and I guess I want to know how you start a conversation with, are these hardened criminals? What have they done? Are they murderers? I don't know if that matters, but I guess you are such a beautiful, attractive young woman, so intelligent. So they must see you as, they don't see many of you, and here you are coming with this new idea. I'm just wondering what are the first few things you say to open up their minds?
Right. I have ideas of what I may say before I go in, and kind of based on previous experiences or based on the little bit I know, which is not much. And so I may have ideas of how to start, but when I step through the door, I actually don't know. I never know. So, and when I'm willing to do that, and I'm willing to be in that space, then I kind of have a sense of where to go. And I know this can be irritating when you hear that, because we want a bit of structure, we want a bit of, but I guess there are fundamental things there are in the background, which I want to touch on, which is, first of all, I want to let them know that there is nothing that I'm teaching, and that there's nothing to learn that they don't already know. And there's nothing they can relax, don't make notes, don't try and remember, this is different. And when I do that, I can see they relax. Because many of them think, oh God, we think we have expectations, and then they have to get it. They have to get it. And when they realize that there's nothing to get, they automatically relax. And then I might invite them to listen in a different way. Because as we know, the listening that we do with this understanding is very special. I don't think there are tools in this understanding, but deep listening is the closest we get to a tool, to something that we can, kind of use. Although we know that we can't actually do deep listening. But we just remember just how beautiful it is. I remember how beautiful it is to listen beyond the ideas I had about them, about where I am in prison, about what they may have done. We never know the sentences they have. We don't check. We don't want to know. They can talk about it if they want, but we're not there for that. I remind myself that if I really want to have a beautiful time with them, I want to listen beyond what I already know, or what I think I know, or what they're saying, or my judgment about what they say, or what my thinking. So, and remember the difference between the two types of listening. And I think, no, let me just do the delicious one, the one that, and then I talk about the listening with them. I'll invite them to listen to me, to us in that way, to each other in that way. So if we're talking about structure, it's funny because we wanted to come up with syllabus during the last course we did in prison, so that for research purposes and stuff, we would have, for funds and stuff, we would have something tangible to show. So we, instead of doing it before, we did it after what happened today? So we make notes. Instead of going in with ideas of what we should do, we reflected on what happened, and then we kind of put it down a bit, but very loosely. It has to be loose. We have to be willing to be in a space of not knowing and not knowing where we're going to go next, because then it shows itself up, and you kind of, oh yeah, let me say that, or let me go here. And then we check in with them. This is, on subsequent sessions, not the, we check in, we can continuously check in with them. What are you hearing, where you're at? And then we go there rather than go where we think we should go. We go, and then be open to notice where we are at any point of the session with them. Where am I at? Am I going in my head, or am I present? And if I'm going in my head, I might should say to them, see, I'm going in, no, I want to come back, because we become more impactful, but it's also infinitely more enjoyable for us to be present. I don't know, is this helpful?
Very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, thank you. That was a really good question. Thank you.
Mm.
So I know it's just a slight twist on what Monica just asked. What could you share? I know very often we get people listening to these webinars who are very new to what it is that we're talking about, and they might be listening to this and kind of thinking, yeah, but you haven't actually told me anything yet. You haven't,
yes.
You kind of said this great feeling, kind of said this is amazing, it's changed my life, and all this.
Yes.
What would you share with people who, what could you say about the understanding something, what is it about?
Sure. I think it's an important question that many people will have. My current understanding of this is going to evolve, hopefully, is that it provides me with the best, so far to date, the best explanation of how I get to be human and have a human experience and have all those feelings that we tend to struggle with. All those ones that we like. So it is an explanation of how I create my experience. So like you see how the before and after. Before, I didn't understand this, and I was suffering much, much more. Now I understand it. It doesn't at some level, it doesn't kind of make sense to suffer about the same things. So it's an explanation, and we talk about 3 principles. We might as well give it in a nutshell. Okay, there are 3 fundamental truths about the human experience. Okay, they're true, universally true for everyone, a bit like force of nature, like gravity is true for everyone. These are 2 fundamental truths about us human beings. And they're universal mind, which is the energy behind life that runs things. Okay, we think we run things, but no, there is something a deeper kind of intelligence, a deeper kind of wisdom that takes care of things, whether we are aware of it or not. It takes care of things, and it tends to move towards a self-adjusting. It's a self-adjusting kind of mechanism. We notice it in our physiology. We have something called homeostasis. We constantly rebalance ourselves within, and that doesn't have anything to do with our intellectual mind. But then we notice it everywhere in nature. Even people who don't believe in God can't deny that there is an intelligence, a deeper kind of intelligence that takes care of things. And we see it in nature. We're always blown away by what happens in nature. We have thousands of different examples of this. And in the three principles, we are saying that as human beings, we come from that. We come from this innate, we have this innate ability to self-adjust, to self-heal on every level. And we are made of the same thing, okay? We belong to it. We are it. So there's this universal mind, which is not the small mind, is the expansive, all-encompassing, benevolent energy behind life. And then from that intelligence, we come and we are human. And the way we are able to be human is via thought and consciousness, which are actually gifts from this wisdom, this deeper intention, gifts from God, if you want to call it God. They are divine gifts. And I have such love and appreciation and gratitude when I think that I was gifted with this and therefore I can be human. I'm like, yes, my God, this is amazing. I have thought and consciousness. So I'm not just pure consciousness and aware and universal love. I can also have a human experience. If we understand that every single feeling or experience we have, it's a product of a perfect design, which sees us as divine being, being human because of thought and consciousness, then it kind of takes us out of the personal and makes us appreciate that, and also takes away the fear we have about the outside, fear about things that we cannot control that are out there, because that's what I have suffered for so many years. It was like, oh my God, if this happens, or it was like it was a matter of life and death, you know. Instead, I know that moment to moment, what I feel can only come from the thinking I do about my circumstances or what happens. And that I have this amazing gift to experience my thought in my thoughts in my body, and to have an experience of that. Then I just, instead of worrying about the content and suffering the content of my experience, I end up appreciating the system behind it. So it just gives me, it's like my son, my youngest son, when he was 3, he was scared. He watched Harry Potter because he was the youngest, so we took him everywhere. So he watched Harry Potter before his time had come. So he was freaked out by the whole thing. And for at least 2 years, he was petrified of going to bed, or, you know, and I was like, oh God, what have I done? You know, because he didn't understand that that was all made up, you see. He had to have his own insights and realize that the whole thing, his whole fear about these monsters they didn't exist. Yeah, it was made up. So to me, it's the same. I was thinking about him, and I thought, that's what it brings to people. It kind of snaps us out of the delusion of what we are experiencing.
Yeah,
and it just shows it for what it is. It's a trick. It's a trick, and of course, and we will continue to be tricked. You see. Yeah. So then, yeah, absolutely, we will continue. It's designed to carry on. but then you know, the time I spend in that place of being blind to it and being is so small now compared, you know. So I will go in and out. I will have a good go at suffering again, because you know, you think it's the thing you should be doing, let me just suffer for a couple of days. And then I'll watch myself think, come on, girl, snap out of it. What are you doing? You're just trying. Sometimes I try to cry hard and to be that like I used to. And I have to laugh at some point because it's, I don't know, was that an explanation? Was that?
Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you. That was really lovely. Yeah, that was great. Thank you. So has anyone else got any questions or anything that they would like to ask Liliana? Oh, okay. Hi, Terry.
Thanks for your story, Liliana. It really spoke to me on so many levels. I had an insight this morning, and I don't think it's coming from all this understanding. I have a couple people, one in particular, that there's two people that are reaching out to me to help them. And what's happening with that, and one in particular she's typing everything that's in Messenger, Facebook, it's very broken, it's very cryptic, and she's, trying to, she sees what I do. She wants, it's like she thinks she's going to get something from me to help her. Right. And what was curious, and I have another person emailing me that wants to talk too. So when I woke up this morning, I had this, more texts, more of these messages from her, and I felt completely out of my league. I was like, oh my God, who can I refer to? There's got to be somebody who can help this person. It's not me, because that's not my forte, and blah, blah, blah. And I realized that this is the insight. It's one more time. It's not up to me. It was like the whole thing just went, holy cow. Thank goodness. I just felt so relieved. And I still don't know how to respond to this person, but I know the response will come to me in the moment. That that's the whatever response I'm supposed to give. But I just had all my lined out plans about how I could handle this. Well, I'll give her Michael Neal's book. It's all these people I was trying to refer her to in my mind. I didn't do any of this, and then it all kind of exploded. That may be what I do in the moment. A book comes to me or something comes to me that might be helpful, but I don't have to plan anything. As a matter of fact, if I plan it, I'm sure to screw it up, because I really don't have a clue what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of speaks to what you're saying when going into the prisons with, you have a vague idea of something, but when you go in through those doors, all that gets dropped away. And I can't remember his name, the guy who spoke last week. Is it Steph? I was going to say Seth, and that's not Steph. Steph reminded me that this thing about deep listening again, and the inquiry space you're in when you're listening, and realizing that the answers will come, and I don't have to worry about it. That is just such a relief.
Yeah.
I'm not the expert. None of us are the expert. There's something much bigger that's got our backs, that has an answer. So thanks so much for sharing your story. And like I said, that was my cat chiming in. Oh, he thinks he has the answers too.
I'm sure he does.
So thank you.
That's absolutely beautiful what you said, Terry, and so true. And we fall into that. Everyone falls into that. I've been doing that with my kids. My eldest son has come back for 2 years now, and because he is doing a master, and I said, "Come home." This boomerang, the boomerang generation. So he's come back, which is lovely, but. He's lived his life without, not on his own for a few years. And yet I'm thinking, I have to help him. He needs help, and I find all sorts of things he needs help with. And, I get wound up again in that old familiar feeling that they need me and I have to protect them. He's 28. And what you were saying, Terry, is exactly then what eventually happens to me is that, oh no, it's not down to me. What a relief. It's not down to them either. It's not even down to them. It's down to mind. And the more we see that, the more resourceful we become, both as facilitators and also as as those who are kind of in a discomfort. When we are in discomfort, we become resourceful about that. We let go. And actually, sorry, I'm going to turn the light on because it's getting really dark. Sorry.
Fine.
There you are.
Woo!
Yay.
I love it because it makes me think about another recent insight I had about letting go. Because you were saying, we kind of let go, but it's like I always, all these years of self-development, I always heard, surrender and let go, surrender and let go. And I was like, oh yeah, it's such a lovely idea, and as if I wouldn't do it. If I knew how, I would do it. I bloody well do it, but it's like, it's totally meaningless. It has no meaning when we know it here. But I was going through something like a few months ago, and I was cleaning the house as you do, it's like, and 2 minutes, 1 second before I was in pain, and I'd been in pain for like 24 hours about this thinking I was doing. And then I wasn't anymore. And I had to stop the Hoover, sit down and think, what happened? Is that hoovering that made me let go? And I was like, oh, okay, yes, now I can do it again. You see, in the past, I would want to repeat what had happened. I would look outside and try and explain how it had happened. But even with the understanding, I thought it was down to me to let go at the end of the day, okay? I might not have wanted to admit it, but I would think, oh, come on, Lily, let go now. Oh, yes, you've let go now. So I would take the merit for the letting go I would blame myself for holding on. And that's crap, because it's not down to us. It literally, when I was hoovering, it let go of me. I didn't do the letting go. So I've gained, with that insight, I went deeper with the understanding that it's just what happens. We are in it and then we are out. We are in it and then we are out. And then now I know that I have less to do, even less than what I thought I did. Because at some point it lets go of you. And it would seem like appreciating the truth behind this more and more, deeper and deeper, it kind of gets the whole ebb and flow to flow a bit more, naturally. It's almost like we align ourselves with their intelligence more and more, but we are not doing it. We are not doing it. We are not doing the letting go. So sorry, I shared this because I was like, yes, there's less. I need to do even less. Nothing. I can just do the hoovering. That's it. Well, if I need to, if I want to, if I feel like it, otherwise I won't even do that. But I loved it. I love it. And then with your friend, with this person who wants help from you, who knows what's going to happen? But for sure, where you're at now with it, it's a far more resourceful place to be. And we know that. And then who knows?
For me, it's like you said, I know on a deep level, as we all do, that everything's okay with this person, with me. And the only thing that blinds us is when we forget that. And we think there's something we need to do to make it okay.
Yeah.
And it might be that the people we're connecting with really think there's a problem and need to have something from me. But the only place I can stand in that is to know That's what thinking does. It looks very convincing, but it doesn't make it true.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very new to sharing this understanding and been playing with different ways of sharing it that aren't so three principles focused. And I've recently been coming back into the principles more in that conversation. I would love to know more about how to, I don't want to know how to, because how to will come as it comes. But I love this conversation. And I realize that some people may not get it in this terminology. So speaking from the understanding and knowing that's coming through, letting that guide in how you talk about it, and dropping all the terminology altogether. It could be that mind, thought, and consciousness comes up, or it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just I'm just peeking around at the surface of it and seeing how things are showing up.
Beautiful. Very cool place to be, Terry. And it seems like, if we put ourselves out there in the way we want to, feels right for us, or, we learn so much from doing that, but there's no pressure, you see. Like we teach that we see something when we see it, and we don't see it until we see it. And the sharing of this is the same. There is no formula, there's no deadline, there's no, pressure. Maybe one day we think, let me play with it a bit with a group of people. I find that very helpful, but that's me, kind of gathering a group of people and then sitting down and opening the space up for this. That tends to teach me a lot of how to kind of how to talk about it as well. Not that there is a how, but I just hear myself sometimes as I talk, and I think, that was interesting. What was that about? I was like, yeah, and then I want to repeat it. I can't even remember, but there is something special in sharing it, but you'll see it, how to do it, when to do it, who to do it with, when you see it. And you know what? Then you won't see it. And then you'll forget how you saw it. And that's all part of it. It's like you're doing this kind of I don't want to call it reliance, but a knowing that it'll be there for you and everyone else. There's that you're dropping this agenda and a sense of needing to have any knowledge of what it is that's going to unfold. Yes. Thank you so much. No, pleasure. Such a pleasure to be with you guys today. I'm really enjoying myself. This one person.
I mean, that's the whole reason we kind of do this. We all just love being in this conversation. And I just think you don't know what's going to come out. You don't know what's going to be said, and you don't know who's going to hear, from anything that's said, but it's just keep putting it out there. And and it's amazing when you just can have a room full of people or talk to somebody or something and go into that place of knowing it's not down to you. You can just trust.
Yeah.
That is,
definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Before I came across the principles, some of the early work, I used to work with women who'd been in abusive relationships and things. And, before I would have my sheets of what I had to do and what I was supposed to say and what I was supposed to be sharing. And then you would be in your head and have you said it right? And have you done it the right way? And there was a lot of paperwork to fill in about how, vulnerable these women were and how I was responsible for saying it the right way and doing it the right way. And oh my gosh, you know, when you were talking earlier, Lily, about being in control and feeling responsible and feeling like you had it's a whole different ball game, isn't it? When you kind of see, you know what, I can totally trust the intelligence behind life to do what needs to be done. And I just kind of, hey, do your thing, cool, just do it.
Gorgeous, so true. Yeah, and I'm not surprised if people listen to us and think, you know, we're just a bunch of weirdos, you know, like, because trust. But these are all side effects. These are all side effects. They're not something we are doing. They're just byproducts of having a little bit of a glimpse here and there about the truth, the magnificent truth, beyond the noise. And that we all have, and that beautiful, you know, our beautiful selves. So just a glimpse of that, then everything else comes. So, you know, gratitude is not something we do, creativity is not something we do, or letting go is not something we do. They're just amazing side effects.
Hi, Monica. I will unmute you. Go.
I just want to say I'm very touched by what everyone's saying here. Honestly, I have real moments of trust, and of just moments of just in the moment, present. And then I have these habits of taking it all back, and I'm in the phase where I'm in real extremes, where I'm I'm totally trusting. I'm not even worried about what's going on or whatever. It's just happening. And I seem to say the right thing, and what's coming out of my hands, because I'm an artist, it's all flowing. And then I go through a swing where I'm on the other end, where I'm like, just fear, and I need to know, and I want to control. And it's a phase for me, because I think when I was first learning about principles, I seemed to be dwelling more in trust. Like I was just not questioning it. It was all so new and wonderful. I was really experimenting. It was all, and now I'm finding myself where I'm there, but then I do a swing, and then I swing back, and I've just noticed it. You know, my mom has been really ill, and I don't know if that has been part of it, or I'm dealing with these things that are happening with her, and I don't know if it's just pushing me into habitual thoughts. And so I've noticed that. I don't know if that's true for anybody else, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you're a human being, Monica.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm going to leave that habit.
Yeah, but totally. I mean, if I look back since I come across this, I've had different phases within the understanding, within my fundamental knowing. There's like this on the surface, there are all sorts of stuff going on, you see. And that never stops to go on, you know, on the surface, even though it doesn't even feel like the surface sometimes, you know. It feels fundamental. But I would say be curious, you know, and just say, oh, well, what is this again? And as you know, the less we go into the content of it, the more, you know, the quicker it goes. It seems like that way anyway. And the content is so compelling anyway, you know, and it's so deceiving. It's like, it's beautifully designed to be a deception. and that's part of it all. But, you know, just, well, I'm not going to give you any advice actually, because you know it yourself, and it is about being human, and this really the biggest gift for me was like embracing my humanity and being okay.
Yeah.
Except that sometimes I'm not still, but yeah, it's funny because, you know, it really doesn't mean that this is it, you know. And then sometimes we fall in love, we are in the bubble, the three principle bubble, for a year or two or a month or two, and then, you know, that bubble is made up with our own thinking about it anyway, you know. Then it bursts and we find ourselves somewhere else, and it's the game of life that keeps being played by us and playing with us.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Is that your artwork at the back?
Oh yeah, that's some of my old art.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And you as an artist must have such an appreciation for what the three principles bring, because you can talk from that, you know. My God, you have such sensitivity. They're beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Wow.
I used to be a portrait artist, and those are my kids. It's the
wow.
very young, because the only paintings I had, all my other paintings were gone because I was a portrait artist. But you know, it's been a journey. I'm doing more things now with my art, and these are the ones that are on my walls. I like them, but I probably need to move them.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. What you could offer to that would be amazing. I mean, I'm just thinking, thinking for you now. Sorry.
That's okay.
But wow, I see the potential, the business woman in me.
I love it. Oh, we're brilliant. They are amazing, Monica. They are great.
I love the way you mentioned, Monica, even though you weren't giving instructions, about curiosity, because that's kind of how I've been experiencing it when I'm going down going with that swing for, you know, those, because it happens to all of us, you know, that is just how humans work. But what I have noticed is that I do have more curiosity about it. Or the other thing that happens is, I got my cat right here and she keeps reaching up. The other thing about it is I'll see how amazingly real it looks when I have a thought. You know, like I'm outside of it now, watching it, going, this is astounding how real this is. You know, a lot of time I'm still in it, experiencing it. I'm the part of the movie and it's going on and I'm completely in over my head. But then at some point I just go, wow, I really got invested in that one. You know, it's sort of like there's just that little bit of space.
Yeah. Yeah, lovely. Yeah.
Monica and I were going to teach an art class together, right, Monica? Monica, art in the 3 Ps.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
She doesn't know it yet. And neither do I, but that's okay.
Amazing.
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. That's been
Thank you.
Amazing conversation. So yeah, and thank you, Liliana. That was a lot. I've just loved some of your explanations and some of the things you said. Thank you very much. It's been lovely to get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you.
Thank
you. I want to really thank you for wanting me on your special lovely people webinar. I feel very lovely now.
Very lovely.
And but also congratulate. I wish I could come to the conference. I really do, but I'll be in Italy with Elsie Spittola going there. So, I love what you're doing. You girls are doing. It's amazing. I'm so happy to see it happening, and I look forward to how it unfolds. and keep me posted, and keep doing what you're doing. You're beautiful, you're lovely, and the work you're doing is important. So thank you.
No, thank you. That's really good to hear. Thank you very, very much. We're just having a blast, and it's kind of like, hey, just enjoy yourself and see what unfolds. And so next week it is actually our conference. So on the Wednesday evening we've got all our speakers and everything arriving. So we're not going to have a webinar next week because I just think there might be a little bit too much going on with everybody getting here and staying at the hotel and what have you. So we're not going to be here next week, unfortunately, but we will be back the week after. And Lucy, I can't remember who we've got on the week after. Yeah. So we have, we actually need to confirm that, but I think it's Mark Spooner is going to be our guest then. But we will be putting it out on Facebook, that who it will be and everything nearer the time. Yeah, lots more fun. Please do join us again if you want. For me, it's great to be in this conversation here. There's not an awful lot of different things to hear, but just hearing it from different people and staying in the conversation just really, really works for me. So I do this for very selfish reasons because I just love to talk. And if anyone wants to come and listen in, then it's perfect. So it will be great to see you in a fortnight, and I expect I shall be all full of what's happened at the conference and how that all went. So
beautiful.
It's been great to see you all tonight.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you all.
Lovely to meet you.
See you around.
Yes. Bye.
And hope to see some of you in a fortnight. Bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.